All right, let's now get some reaction on the Basic Education Department's update on the sector's response to the pandemic. They're saying it's all systems go for the 2021 final examinations. We're joined now by Basil Manuel, who's the Executive Director of National Professional Teachers Organization of South Africa, Nomusa Cembi, who is a Media Officer and Spokesperson for the South African Democratic Teachers Union. And later on, I'm hoping we'll be joined by Professor Mary Metcalfe, who is the Educational Specialist and Senior Research Associate at the University of Johannesburg. Basil and Nomusa, thank you for making time. The Education Minister indicating not so long ago that it's all systems go. It's 18 days before the final exams. We know pupils have had to navigate some complex terrain. The curriculum was not completed. They've had to do catch-up classes. So it's been a difficult year for them, but equally so, it's been a difficult year for your members, the teachers.
Absolutely, yes, good afternoon and good.
Yes, Basil, let's start with you.
And good afternoon to Nomusa as well. It's been a difficult time because of the deficits, obviously, from the type of interruptions we've had with COVID. However, our children are resilient and our teachers have pulled out all stops. Clement, we've got to acknowledge the fact that people have given up so much of their time to try and make this work. It shows where the heart of the people lie. And we know that some children have needed much more help than others because we have a variety of children in our system. However, we are comfortable that what could have been done has been done. Now we need to just get to the last stop and get the exam started. What worries us is not that the readiness of the pupils. We're worried that we mustn't have the recurrence of the incidents that we had last year with attempts at copying and all things like that. And we certainly hope and we are confident that the department has done things. They've had a good track record with exams, and last year was just a downer. We hope that we don't see that again.
Yeah. And Nomusa, what's been your assessment of the support that not only was provided for the pupils, the class of 2021, but for the teachers as well, to ensure that there is some sort of catch-up to the curriculum and to ensure that there's sufficient support for both the teachers and the pupils to prepare for these exams coming up in less than 18 days?
Thank you, Clement. I would say that in terms of the support, yes, there was, but not as much, because we felt that a lot of support teachers needed had to do with psychosocial support to deal with the pandemic. However, we are thankful with the fact that teachers got vaccinated, and that lessened the anxiety that they had on the pandemic. Yes, we would like to commend our teachers for doing all to ensure that learners are prepared. They've sacrificed all. They've sacrificed their afternoons, their mornings, their holidays to ensure that this class pass. We are aware that this class was on the back foot in that in most schools, the grade 11 class did not complete the syllabus. So there was a lot of catching up to do, and the teachers, I would say, they rose to the occasion and made sure that learners catch up. And we also thank the learners for being there to ensure that they do not miss out, to allow themselves to be taught in all those hours. And we hope that everything will go well.
Basil, what do you think is going to be the impact of these teacher assistants that the Education Department is trying to bring into the system? They've announced that they received around 3.9 unique applications. Over 200,000 of those are young people. Some are going to be teacher assistants. Some are going to be just your general assistants. How is that going to help? Because we know that there has been some capacity issues. There are some teachers that have been sick from COVID-19. Sadly, some have died from COVID-19. So you needed the system to be capacitated in order to help with the catch-up programs.
Absolutely, Clement. Let's remember that this is the second round. We've had this before, And of course, we can only go by how well the last time went. Let me be clear. We are not, these are not replacement teachers. These are to assist. And when you think of schools that have never ever had, for example, cleaners, never ever had people to cut the grass, this is heaven sent, never had people to do admin work. This has been something that they have seen, and for the first time, thousands of schools are seeing exactly how good life can be and how good life has been for the people on the other side. And then add to that the teacher assistants. When you need to break up a class, when you need somebody to just spend a little bit of time with that youngster that hasn't coped so well, you can imagine how much easier the life of the teacher becomes. We have supported this from two levels. The one is the what it does for schools. On the other hand, also for these youngsters, because it gives them an insight into what teaching is like, what life in a school is like, and maybe that will encourage them to also go and study. And of course, don't forget that many of these youngsters have been on the brink of starvation themselves. So there's also money coming into households. So NAPTOSA supported it fully, but it is a system that has shown that it can work.
Yeah. Let me bring in Professor Mary Metcalfe now, who's an educational specialist, also joining this discussion. Prof, thank you for joining us. The Education Department is saying it's ready to present the credible 2021 matric exams. They're saying it's all systems go. Your thoughts?
Well, I want to align myself with what NAPTOSA and SATU have said, that teachers have worked incredibly hard to really help the class of 2021 make up for the deficits of the loss of learning last year. Everywhere that I've been, I've seen that there's been extra classes, there's been work done in the school holidays. This current week of school holidays has been filled with catch-up. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I think that it is correct that everything has been done to support the learners, and we can only wish them well. We have to congratulate the teachers and thank the teachers and the school management teams in the districts for everything that they've done to support this class, Clement.
Yeah, and Prof, what do you think of the capacity constraints? The Minister mentioned that there have been programs to support matriculants, like the educational channel. They've tried to ensure that there are extra classes, but we know that previously there had been some concerns around capacity, especially when it comes to teachers. Obviously, with all of those challenges, they've had to make sure that they try and get the learners to catch up as soon as possible. They're now telling us that they've managed to get just over 3 million rand, 3 million young people that will be teacher assistants. What impact do you think that will have, not only in the short term, but even next year, given how we are still dealing with COVID-19 and it will still be with us by then?
There are challenges in education that we had before COVID and challenges that we're going to have after COVID. Some of those challenges have been having the support staff within schools where they are needed to support teachers with their work. I don't see the Basic Education Employment Initiative as being specifically linked to a COVID catch-up. I see it as a very important opportunity for youth employment opportunity and, as Basil said, to give learners an opportunity to think about possibly becoming a teacher. It's a very good program. It's been extraordinarily well received by schools. Now, the challenges of COVID were not just in 2020 and 2021. We're going to be seeing challenges for years ahead, because if you look at the foundation phase of this year and last year, there was significant time lost in terms of numeracy, literacy, and that catch-up is going to be a long-term marathon. So we need to be looking at our challenges in education, firstly, in terms of what COVID has made clearer, And what is clear is that there's huge inequalities. Not all learners were able to learn at home, but what we have seen is massive efforts being made across the education system by teachers who keep our system going despite the difficulties.
Yeah. I want to, Nomusa, let me bring you in here. How have your members experienced this support program by the Education Department? We know there have been some challenges previously. Some of the teacher assistants that were hired by government, there were instances where some were not paid. But what did your members tell you about how that impacted on helping in the school system as soon as that support structure came in?
Our members welcomed the teacher assistance. It was a huge relief for teachers to have that assistance. But we also still maintain that, like Basil said earlier, that we must be sure that they are not teachers. They are there to assist, and we are on the lookout to ensure that the department doesn't use them to be teachers, but they remain assistants. Even though they are there, there's still a need for teachers. There are so many teacher posts that have not been filled. We still are knocking at the department's door to say we need teachers in the system. Yes, we welcome assistance. They have taken a lot of work from the shoulders of teachers. However, we still need teachers, because even those who died due to COVID-19, most have not been replaced. So as we welcome this, we also remind the department to employ teachers.
Yeah. Basil, I want to get your reaction to the update we got from the minister on the issue of sanitation. She's provided feedback that out of the 3,200 schools that didn't have proper sanitation, what the department has done, they've identified, in fact, 2,285. And out of that 2,285, more than 1,000 got new sanitation, and around 1,000 are now in the system at various stages of implementation. I know there have been concerns around whether or not even the department gives us accurate information when it comes to the picture on sanitation at various schools. But are you satisfied with this? The minister says, look, we've made progress in ensuring that we bring in new sanitation at these various schools that were affected.
Satisfied is such a big word, particularly in education. My satisfaction would come if every school has the proper sanitation and every school has what it needs. However, let's not be ingracious about it. The progress must be applauded. The fact that there is a dedicated program to get it done must be applauded. We can lament about the fact that it has taken so long, but we must acknowledge that it is happening now. And we want to see this brought to completion. But we also want to see that these facilities are looked after. The minister did indicate that in some instances, places had the toilets, etc., but they had been vandalized. Yeah. We need them looked after, we need them repaired by the necessary authorities, and we need to ensure that every child realizes that without that toilet, life is much more difficult. So on 3 levels, yes, we're happy there's progress. Yes, we're unhappy that it's only happening now, but now we must look after it as the recipients of these ablution facilities.
Yeah, no, let me thank all of you. Basil Manuel, the Executive Director at NEPTOSA, Nomusa Cembi, Media Officer and Spokesperson for SATU, and of course, thanks to Professor Mary Metcalfe, who is the Educational Expert and Senior Research Associate at the University of Johannesburg.